Hey, what's going on, guys? Stevie here with Lucky Crit. If I sound a little bit weird in this video, it's because I actually had a wisdom tooth removed the other day, so there's kind of a hole in my mouth, and I'm tasting some dry blood. But I wanted to make this video because someone actually showed me something on Twitter, and before anybody else kind of got confused about this, I wanted to discuss it. So Twitter user Trigger Flaming actually sent me this screenshot of the Fire Emblem Three Houses Amazon page, which shows the release date for the game listed as December 27th, 2019. Now, at first I thought there was the potential of that because I think it's pretty clear at this point that the game is most likely not going to be launching in spring. We haven't seen anything since last, May or June with the Nintendo reveal at E3. So I really don't think that they would just go into launching the game unless they want to pull in Echoes, but I don't feel like they're going to pull in Echoes with Three Houses. That just doesn't make any sense. Echoes was more of a low-key game. It was a remake. It wasn't really the next big Fire Emblem, unfortunately. I mean, Echoes is a great game, but they didn't really hype it up. It kind of just came out of nowhere and surprised all of us. It wasn't the next iteration of Fire Emblem. It was a remake. So I don't really think that they would treat Three Houses the same way that they would treat Echoes, especially because after the success of Awakening and Fates on the 3DS, they know how big the potential is for Fire Emblem, how much of a console seller it could be. Especially with the 3DS. I mean, Awakening on the 3DS was a top 10 3DS game. It might even still be, according to GameFAQs and stuff like that. The game was huge. So many people tried it out. So I definitely think that that was a console seller for the 3DS. And I think that they must know that the potential of Three Houses would be potentially even a Switch seller. And I know that there are definitely some of you guys out there in my audience that are holding off on buying a Switch until Fire Emblem Three Houses gets released. So that's definitely going to be a thing. And I think they certainly must know the potential that Three Houses will have. And of course, they also have the success of Fire Emblem Heroes to think about here. In 2018 alone, Fire Emblem Heroes accounted for approximately 66% of its 2018 mobile revenue, topping 230 million in player spending globally, grossing a total of 487 million to date. So they absolutely have to understand how big this Switch title is going to be, and I think that there's no way that they'll just drop it on us like Echoes. So there's got to be a lot more information that we're going to be revealed to, and the fact that we haven't seen it revealed with at least a couple months to spare before the game launch, I'd say it's looking to be later and later in this year, or perhaps 2020. So the fact that we haven't seen anything about it, especially even just in 2019 so far in January, I don't think that this game is going to be launching in the spring. I think it had to have gotten delayed till, who knows, at least the summer, most likely the fall, I would say. But I did want to mention this because people might get confused. Amazon does actually put placeholder dates on upcoming games. It's a pretty common thing that they've done for years now. I think it just gives them kind of a way of making the page and having you pay for something. It's probably due to legal constraints or something like that. It lets them make the page, have you be able to buy the pre-order with some sort of guarantee that you will be seeing it, I guess, within that year. And that's why not only Three Houses, but a lot of other games that I'm kind of going through and seeing, games that obviously haven't been announced as having a real release date yet. They all have pretty similar release dates, somewhere between, December 27th, December 29th, December 31st. So this isn't a real release date. Now, of course, there is always the possibility that it could end up being launched on a date around this time as well. Or who knows, maybe it could even end up being a 2020 game. It depends on kind of what happened in development, and they're being so hush-hush and quiet about it that there's just no way to know at this point in time. So I know you guys are just dying to hear new Three Houses news. I'm definitely super excited for the game. I can't wait till it comes out. But to be fair, I do have a lot that I could play through and still a lot more to talk about on some of the other games that I'm okay with waiting a little bit longer. But I absolutely know that there are those of you out there that do not share that sentiment and cannot wait for this game to come out. So I just wanted to point this out in case you happen to notice this or someone shares you the image. I don't believe that this is the release date. It's just a placeholder for now. I've also seen a rather interesting theory pop up online that has to do with Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, with fans thinking that perhaps the game was delayed, as well as many other games being delayed because of the massive release of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. While we don't have any data to back this up, it is kind of interesting, and it would stand as a pretty solid reason as to why Nintendo might not want all of the games launching around this similar time frame. This way, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate got the limelight, and now other games can release a little bit later at a somewhat more accessible time for other people. You wouldn't want too many games launching at the same time because then people are going to have to pick and choose between which one they want, generally speaking. I don't think most people go to the store and end up picking multiple games up at a time, especially not if they're $60 a piece. So it would actually make a lot of sense, I think, for Nintendo to have staggered the dates a bit. Now, I would imagine that if we are going to see this game this year, there's going to have to be more trailers released and more information released about it, considering we only have that original trailer to go off of. So I'd imagine that we would see a Nintendo Direct at some point. I mean, if this is going to be launched even in the fall, there's got to be a time within the next handful of months that we end up seeing it again. So perhaps a Nintendo Direct, who knows, maybe even February, March, April, May, somewhere around there, we'll probably end up seeing something else about the game, unless they're in really dire straits and it's been pushed back or delayed even further. I think it's also not clear as to whether or not we'll be seeing another Nintendo Fire Emblem Direct specifically, because back in January of 2017, there was actually a lot to talk about in terms of Fire Emblem. We had Echoes coming out that kind of surprised us. We had Fire Emblem Switch being announced with that, and we also had Fire Emblem Heroes being released soon after that Direct. So it kind of made sense to lump it all together into its own Direct, but at this point I'm not sure that there's actually enough Fire Emblem news to warrant its own Direct. I think the reason why they chose to do that in the past was because all of that information would have absolutely taken over whatever else they would announce in a Nintendo Direct. It would have seemed like a half Fire Emblem Direct anyway, so that's probably why they chose to do a distinctly Fire Emblem Nintendo Direct. But at this point, unless there's some other game that's going to be announced or some other major update to something, I don't see them needing to be able to do another Fire Emblem Direct. I mean, I don't think even 3.0 or the Fire Emblem Heroes Anniversary, it's not big enough and not specific enough to have its own segment in part of a Fire Emblem Direct, I don't think. That would be more delegated to game reveals, and it just doesn't seem like there's going to be anything else in development right now, especially with Three Houses looking like it's been delayed. So I don't really see a specifically Fire Emblem Direct happening this year, but it could potentially end up popping up in a normal Nintendo Direct within the coming months, so hopefully we'll be seeing that. Personally, I'm really excited to hear about kind of the behind-the-scenes stuff with this game, probably in a year or so, or whenever that particular bit of news comes out. You know, you'll see it in like a Did You Know Gaming episode or something like that about the game's troubled development, or maybe some kind of explanation or interview as to what happened behind the scenes. Personally, I'm okay with the game having been delayed, because I think that usually leads to a much better game experience, and I really want this game to be extremely good and just absolutely propel the series forward to the future, attract more attention to the Fire Emblem series, and just blow it up as an even bigger IP for Nintendo, so that all of us are, you know, even more happy, and we'll continue to see a lot more Fire Emblem love in the days to come. So personally, I'm fine with that. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section down below. Just wanted to make this quick episode here and discuss this, and hopefully before long, we'll hear something else about Three Houses. But that'll be it for today. I'm going to go let my mouth heal, I guess, and I'll see you guys soon. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next episode.